Over the years, I made this incredible discovery that changed my life, and it is that you become what you think about most of the time. Your outer world is a reflection, a mirror image reflection of your inner world. Sometimes we call this the law of correspondence. It says that your outer world will correspond to your inner world of thoughts, ideas, and feelings. So the starting question is, what do you think about most of the time? And the wonderful thing is that if you change your thinking, you change your life. Now, I've just written a book, and I called it Thinking for a Change, but these publishers are going to call it Get Smart. And what I did is I looked at 10 different thinking styles, and I looked at the most powerful and important thinking styles that determine the quality of your life. And let me give you just one, for example. One is called, based on 50 years of research at Harvard, it's the difference between short-term thinking and long-term thinking. What they found at Harvard was that in measuring upward socioeconomic mobility, in other words, how is it that some people move up financially in their lives? They start sometimes from humble beginnings, sometimes from working-class families, sometimes from as new immigrants with limited language skills and no contacts. But over the course of a few years, they start to move up, they earn more money, they build businesses and lives or careers, they move to nicer homes, their kids go to better schools, they totally transform their social position. They climb the ladder of social mobility. What is the reason? And after 50 years, Dr. Edward Banfield of Harvard discovered that there was only one factor that explained it, and it was long time perspective. What he said is that every person at every socioeconomic level has a time perspective. People at the bottom have a time perspective of sometimes only a few hours. They think of immediate gratification. Sometimes alcoholics and dope addicts, they just think of the next drink or the next shot. As you move up, people start to think longer term. They start to make long-term decisions. They start to plan into the future. They start to develop their skills. They start to save their money. They start to think, if I do this today, what will be the consequences of this in the long term? And as they move up, they think longer and longer term. They say that great men and women plant trees under which they will never sit. People in the upper socioeconomic categories will be planning for 2 or 3 generations ahead. There's a very popular financial planning tool called a generation skipping trust. This is where the parents and the grandparents